Vanessa Trump has security codes to Tiger's $60 million Florida mansion, and she comes and goes as she pleases. YouTube title: Vanessa Trump has security codes to Tiger's $60 million Florida mansion, and she comes and goes as she pleases. Description: what happens when two of the most powerful dynasties in America quietly share more than just a zip code? This is not a gossip story. This is a story about access, power, privacy, and what it really means to belong somewhere, or to someone. Vanessa Trump. Tiger Woods. A $60 million estate in Jupiter, Florida. Security codes that only the most trusted people in the world hold. And a relationship the media has never fully explained. Sit down, because this one goes deeper than you think. Hashtags. Hashtag Vanessa Trump, hashtag Tiger Woods, hashtag Florida Mansion, hashtag Trump family, hashtag celebrity secrets, hashtag power and privilege, hashtag reality behind the money, hashtag documentary story, hashtag elite access, hashtag $60 million home. SEO keywords. Vanessa Trump, Tiger Woods, Florida Mansion, Vanessa Trump security codes, Trump family secrets, Tiger Woods Jupiter Island home, celebrity relationships 2024, powerful elite connections, Vanessa Trump lifestyle, Tiger Woods private life, Trump Woods connection, Florida celebrity mansions, elite access celebrity homes. 5 dramatic thumbnail lines. She has the code. He doesn't know who told her. $60 million. 1 code. 0 explanation. She walks in like she lives there. The access nobody was supposed to know about. He built walls. She has the key. Full script. Somewhere in Jupiter, Florida, behind iron gates and layered security systems that most people will never see in their lifetime, there is a mansion worth $60 million. The kind of place where the air feels different, quieter, heavier, like the walls themselves are holding secrets. Motion sensors track everything. A private staff operates on strict protocols. Visitors are logged. Guests are vetted. And the security codes, those codes, are given to almost no one. Almost. Because somewhere in that chain of access, in that carefully constructed fortress of privacy that Tiger Woods spent years and millions building around himself, Vanessa Trump has a code. Not a guest pass. Not a supervised visit. A code. The kind that means you come and go as you please. The kind that means someone, at some point, made a decision that you belong here. Now ask yourself, how does that happen? In a world where Tiger Woods guards his private life like it's the last thing he owns, how does the ex-wife of Donald Trump Jr., a woman raising 5 children, a woman who walked away from one of the most powerful families in American history, how does she end up with that level of access? The answer isn't simple. And if you think you already know what this story is about, slow down. Because this is not the story you think it is. Before we go any further, if stories like this, stories that peel back the surface of wealth and power and ask the questions nobody else is asking, if that's why you're here, then you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Hit that subscribe button right now, because we go deeper every single week. Let's start at the beginning. Not with Tiger, not with Vanessa. Let's start with Jupiter, Florida, because the place itself tells you everything. Jupiter Island and the surrounding Jupiter area in Palm Beach County is not just wealthy. It is a different category of wealthy. This is a place where billionaires build estates and then add guest houses larger than most people's primary homes. Where privacy isn't a luxury, it's the entire point. Tiger Woods chose this location deliberately, methodically, the way he approaches everything. After his very public unraveling in 2009, after the world watched his marriage collapse and his name become a punchline, Tiger went quiet. He retreated. He built. The estate in Jupiter, sometimes referred to in real estate circles and media reports in connection with Tiger's Florida property portfolio, represents something beyond real estate investment. It represents reconstruction. It represents a man who decided that the only way to survive public destruction was to create a private world so secure, so controlled, that nothing could get in unless he allowed it. And for years, that system worked. His children, Sam and Charlie, have grown up in and around that world. His inner circle is small, deliberately small. The people who move through his private life are chosen with the kind of care that comes from having been burned, badly, by trusting the wrong people. So when a name like Vanessa Trump enters that circle, it demands a question. Not judgment. A question. How? Now let's talk about Vanessa. Because the media has spent years reducing her to a footnote. The ex-wife, the mother, the woman who quietly divorced Donald Trump Jr. in 2018 after 12 years of marriage and walked away from a level of public scrutiny that would have broken most people. But Vanessa Hayden Trump, and she went back to using Hayden professionally in some contexts, is not a footnote. She never was. She was a model. She was sharp. She moved in elite New York social circles before she ever met a Trump. She understood the architecture of high society, the unspoken rules, the careful alliances, the way access flows in the world of the ultra-wealthy. And when she stepped away from the Trump orbit, she didn't disappear. She recalibrated. She kept a low profile in a way that felt intentional. She focused on her 5 children: Kai, Donald 3, Tristan, Spencer, and Chloe. She stayed close to Palm Beach. And Palm Beach, for the uninitiated, is Tiger Woods' world. Think about that geography for a moment. The Trump family's Mar-a-Lago estate sits in Palm Beach. Jupiter is approximately 20 miles north. In the world of Florida's ultra-wealthy elite, 20 miles is nothing. These communities overlap. These circles intersect. Events, charities, private clubs, mutual connections. The ecosystem is smaller than it appears from the outside. Does that mean something happened romantically between Vanessa and Tiger? That's the question everyone wants answered, and we are going to address it. Honestly, carefully, and without sensationalizing something that may be far more nuanced than a headline allows. Here is what has been reported, and here is where we need to be precise. Connections between Vanessa Trump and Tiger Woods' world began surfacing in social observations and reporting around the Florida elite social scene. People who move in those circles began noticing proximity at private events, in shared social networks, through mutual connections that link the Trump world and Tiger's inner circle. The detail about security access, and this is important to say clearly, emerged from reporting and social observation, from people familiar with the arrangement, from the kind of sourced whisper network that operates in elite Palm Beach circles where information flows carefully, but it does flow. It has not been confirmed by either party directly. Tiger's team does not comment on his private life as a matter of policy. Vanessa has not made public statements addressing this specifically. But here is why the detail resonates. Here is why it landed the way it did. Because security codes in Tiger's world are not casual gestures. They are not given out the way you share a Wi-Fi password with a house guest. When someone has that level of access to Tiger Woods' private estate, it means a relationship has been built, whether friendship, co-parenting proximity, romantic connection, or something else entirely. That is real, substantive, and intentional. And something about that, the image of it, the weight of it, has captured people's attention in a way that goes beyond celebrity gossip. Because it speaks to something most of us understand at a human level. What does it mean to be truly let in? If you've ever been on the outside of something, a family, a relationship, a circle, and you've wondered what it would take to genuinely belong, then you already understand why this story matters beyond the names involved. Drop a word in the comments right now, just one word, that describes what access has meant in your own life. Because I think this conversation is bigger than Tiger and Vanessa. Let's think about Tiger's emotional world for a moment. And I want to be careful here, because we are interpreting, not reporting confirmed facts. We are reading between lines that Tiger has carefully drawn. Tiger Woods has spoken in interviews about the loneliness that followed his 2009 scandal. Not just the professional consequences, which were enormous, but the personal ones. The friendships that evaporated. The trust that he extended to people who didn't deserve it. He rebuilt his professional career through sheer mechanical obsession. Hours on the range, surgery after surgery. One of the most documented athletic comebacks in human history. But the personal rebuilding? That happened in silence. He has 2 children. He co-parents with Ellen Nordegren, his ex-wife, and by most accounts that co-parenting relationship has become functional, even respectful, over the years. Ellen has reportedly maintained a presence in the Jupiter area as well, partly to be near Tiger for the sake of their children. So Tiger's Florida world already involves a level of coordinated access that most people never consider. Ex-spouses, children moving between homes, family dynamics playing out behind those iron gates. Into that world, the idea of another woman, particularly one who has navigated her own very public, very complicated relationship dissolution. Finding genuine comfort and connection doesn't feel as strange as the tabloid framing suggests. Vanessa understands something about public collapse. She lived through her own version of it. Divorce from a Trump is not quiet. It is not simple. It is conducted under a level of media and political scrutiny that is almost incomprehensible. And she handled it with a composure that people in her circle have described, in various reports, as almost uncanny. Two people who have each been through the fire. Two people who understand what it means to be very publicly broken and then very privately rebuilt. Is it so surprising that they might find each other's company safe in a way that very few other people can offer? Let's talk about what $60 million actually buys in Jupiter, Florida, because the estate itself is part of this story. Tiger's Florida property has been documented across multiple real estate and golf publications over the years. The estate, built on a waterfront lot with private beach access, reflects Tiger's obsessive attention to detail in every dimension of his life. There are reports of a golf simulator facility on the property. The landscaping is designed to maximize privacy. The security infrastructure goes beyond typical high-net-worth residential standards. This is a place designed to make the outside world disappear. And for a man who has spent the better part of 2 decades being consumed by the outside world, by camera lenses and headlines and public opinion, the ability to make it disappear is not a small thing. It is everything. Now place Vanessa in that space. Not as a guest, as someone with a code, as someone who arrives on her own timeline, who moves through that space with an ease that only comes from familiarity. What does that feel like, to be trusted with someone's fortress? And more importantly, what does it say about what Tiger is choosing to protect now? Because here is where this story takes a turn that I don't think enough people are considering. Tiger Woods is not a young man anymore in the context of his sport. He turned 48 in December 2024. His body has been through ordeals that would have ended most careers 20 times over. His right leg, the surgeries, the recovery from his 2021 car accident that nearly resulted in amputation, has changed the way he moves through the world, literally and figuratively. He is in a phase of life where legacy is being actively constructed. His TGL League, the tech-driven golf venture he launched with Rory McIlroy, represents a pivot toward the future of the sport. His relationship with his son Charlie, who is emerging as a serious competitive golfer, is one of the most emotionally resonant storylines in sports right now. This is a Tiger who is thinking differently about what matters. About who matters. About what he builds in the second half of his life versus what he built and lost in the first half. And maybe, this is interpretation. This is reading the emotional logic of a man's choices. Maybe Vanessa Trump represents something in that calculus. Not a trophy, not a headline, a presence, a genuine, vetted, trusted presence in a life that has very few of those. When you understand it that way, the security code isn't scandalous. It's almost tender. If this story is changing the way you think about Tiger Woods, if you're seeing him differently right now, not as a legend or a scandal, but as a human being trying to figure out who he lets in, then this moment right here is worth something. Stories like this one exist because enough people believe that the human underneath the headline deserves to be seen. Now let's address the obvious. There are people who will look at this story and see a narrative being constructed where none exists. Fair. Skepticism is healthy. Proximity does not equal relationship. Security access, in the world of the ultra-wealthy, can be extended for practical reasons that have nothing to do with romantic connection, shared childcare logistics, mutual social circles, property management reasons we'd never know about. We cannot confirm what Tiger and Vanessa are to each other. They have not told us. They don't know us that. But here's what we can say. In a media environment that has thoroughly documented Tiger's public relationships, his marriage to Ellen, his later relationship with skier Lindsey Vonn, his relationship with restaurateur Erica Herman that ended in 2023 under complicated legal circumstances, the presence of Vanessa Trump in his orbit has emerged without the usual tabloid infrastructure. No paparazzi shots. No unnamed sources selling a story. No dramatic public confirmation. Just access. And the quiet acknowledgement, from people who know both of their worlds, that something genuine is there. In a strange way, that silence is the most Tiger thing possible. This is a man who learned the hardest way imaginable what happens when your private life becomes public spectacle. If there is something real here, of course it lives behind a code. Of course it lives behind gates. Of course it exists in the quiet spaces that the cameras can't reach. The silence isn't suspicious. The silence is self-preservation. And after everything, after every headline, every legal filing, every public reckoning, both of these people have earned the right to self-preservation. Let's talk about Vanessa's children for a moment, because they matter to this story. 5 children, ranging from teenagers to younger ages, growing up in the post-Trump divorce world. Growing up between New York and Florida. Growing up with a father whose life exists in a very specific kind of public spotlight that never really dims. Vanessa has spoken in limited ways about her priority being stability for those kids, about creating a life that has consistency and normalcy even within the abnormal framework of their last name. Florida represents a part of that for her. The Palm Beach area gives her proximity to Mar-a-Lago and the broader Trump world that remains relevant for her children's relationship with their father's family, while also giving her distance, literal geographic and psychological distance, from the New York media ecosystem that had consumed her life for over a decade. And if the people in her new Florida world happen to include Tiger Woods, a man whose own children are navigating their teenage years in the same general ecosystem, who understands the particular pressure of being a famous person's child in a way that almost no other parent can, then there is something there that goes beyond romance. There is a kind of kinship. Shared understanding between parents is underestimated as a bond. It's quiet. It's not photogenic, but it's real. Here is what I keep coming back to. In a world that is obsessed with access, with followers, with verification, with who gets into what room and who gets put on what list, the most meaningful access is always the kind that isn't publicized. The code that only a few people hold. The gate that opens without announcement. The presence that doesn't need to perform for anyone because it isn't performing. It just is. Vanessa Trump coming and going from Tiger's estate as she pleases is not a power move. Read it again. It's not a performance of influence or status. In their world, both of them have more status than they could ever need. What it is, or what it appears to be, is comfort. The rare, earned, deeply private comfort of knowing that a door will open for you, that you are expected, that your presence is not an intrusion but an arrival. After a public divorce from a Trump, after a car accident that nearly took a leg and a career, after years of being the most watched, the most scrutinized, the most exposed versions of themselves, maybe that door, and the code that opens it, is the most honest thing in either of their lives right now. And that is worth more than $60 million. Every version of this story that the tabloids want to tell you is about scandal, about access as currency, about famous people doing famous people things in their famous people houses. But underneath all of that, strip away the real estate value and the security infrastructure and the famous last names. And what you have is 2 people who have been through immense public pain, who are raising children, who are rebuilding private lives, who have found in each other's presence something that feels safe. Maybe it's love. Maybe it's deep friendship. Maybe it's something in between that doesn't have a name yet. We don't know. They haven't told us. And perhaps the most respectful thing, the most honest thing, is to sit with that uncertainty and resist the urge to fill it with a narrative that serves our curiosity more than their truth. What we can say is this. Tiger Woods is a man who built a $60 million fortress to protect his peace. And he gave someone the code. That is the story. Everything else is just the gate. If you made it here, if you sat with this story all the way through, then you're not someone who comes here for gossip. You come here because you believe that the human beings inside the headlines deserve to be understood, not just consumed. That's why this channel exists. That's who we make this for. And if that's you, you already know what to do.